Hello everyone, I'm Transformers Fanco 328 here, and it's time I finally answered your questions. I admit the turnout wasn't as big as I was expecting it to be, but at the very least it makes it a little easier to make the video. Plus, there were still some questions that I can answer, so let's just get it over with, why not? Vakoris Venkson Davidson asks, have you ever played the game Okami? No, and at the moment I have no drive to play it. I mean, if someone gave it to me, or I found a cheap used copy of it, I'd pick it up and play it, but I have no drive to play it at the moment. Although from what I hear, it's good. Jackson Trandall asks, have you played Smite? No, and I honestly have no interest in it. The whole MOBA genre just doesn't really appeal to me. I don't know, I just don't like that style of game. I haven't picked up League of Legends or anything similar to that either. Noah Sauce 77 asks, are you a virgin? You do realize you just asked me,
how is your sex life?
Can't talk about it? Why not?
Why not? How about you just brought it the fuck out of nowhere?
The James 4014 asks, what's your favorite Emblem class? Likely referring to Fire Emblem class. I haven't played every Fire Emblem game, and I'm not aware of every single class option in every single game, but as of now, I think my favorite would probably be the Tactician class, mostly because I like the option of having a close range option with swords and a long range option with magic. Plus, it'd probably be the class that I would actually use if I were in the Fire Emblem world. Gaming 101 asked a couple of questions. First, what was the first video game you ever played? Honestly, I have no idea. My memory is actually very hazy. I know that my earliest gaming memories date as far back as the original Game Boy and the Sony PlayStation, but aside from maybe Pokemon, that's really as far as I go as far as specific dates. Ever notice how all the memories that I have with my favorite games happen to date only as far back as 2008-ish, 2009-ish? Because that's not about as far back as I remember specifically. Again, there are little things that I do remember specifically as a kid, like when I watched the Bionicle movie, I still remember hearing Captain of the Guards, Captain of the Dawn, like I mentioned in my review, but aside from that, I don't really have the best of memories. The second question was, do you watch anime? And if so, what do you recommend? Oh, I have checked out a few anime in recent times. You know, Monica, JoJo, Kill la Kill, all those sorts of things. The only two anime I really don't like are Elfenlied and Sword Art Online, but those deserve their own videos for discussion. But pretty much all the other anime series that I'd seen I do like. Frozen Maiden, Yuki Yuna, the works. Oh, and then there was also Blaze Blue Ultra Memory, but let's not talk about that. Sniper Dragon 50 asks, do you read fanfictions? If you do, what do you think of them? The weird thing about me and fan-related material was that I was 100% against the idea of fanfictions and fan ideas and OCs and all that for a long time. I mean, I suppose my only real exposure to it was with Sonic, but even then, I was still really against the idea of fan-made stories versus official stories. But as time went on, I became a lot more accepting and even approving of fan ideas. Not only of the idea that the fans can write as well, if not better, than the official writers, but I can see a lot of really cool things that the fans come up with. They clearly have a passion for this kind of stuff. So I do actually check out fanfiction.net every once in a while and see what cool stories they come up with. I usually like fan stories that test the characters' willpower and emotions, but sometimes I can also enjoy a nice little crossover story or a little funny thing. So yeah, I've become a lot more positive towards the idea of fan-made works and fanfiction in general. But of course that doesn't mean every story I've read is good. Your mileage may vary, depends on which ones you come across. And Pound Doom asks 3 questions. First, what's your favorite game, franchise, and spin-off? First of all, I made an entire video dedicated to talking about my favorite games of all time, since I can't really organize them in a specific numbered order. But to save you the 53-minute video, here are the games that I covered in that. Transformers War for Cybertron, Soul Calibur 2, Shadow of the Colossus, Ratchet & Clank Future Crack in Time, Pokemon Alpha Sapphire, and to an extent the original Pokemon Sapphire, Metroid Prime, Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, Mega Man X5, Kirby's Return to Dreamland, Guitar Hero 3, Guacamelee, Fire Emblem Awakening, and Bioshock Infinite. I've stated on multiple occasions that Kirby is my favorite gaming franchise, because it's just so much fun. Almost every single game I've played from this series has been spectacular, or at the very least, very enjoyable from beginning to end. In fact, a tradition of mine ever since 2009, because of a failed Let's Play, was for me to, on the day before Christmas Eve, play through the original Kirby's Dream Land on the Game Boy. And not Spring Breeze, the original. Although 3, I haven't really mentioned my favorite gaming spin-off, and none of the favorite games I talked about are spin-offs. But really thinking about it, I think my favorite one would have to be Castlevania Harmony of Despair. Sure, it takes a while to get used to, and it can be a little tedious grinding for the best gear and getting the character stronger, but honestly, it's just so entertaining once you get your characters really powerful, and playing maps with friends, exploiting glitches and whatnot. I've played every level with every character at least once, and hell, I've played every level at least 50 times, and I hold no regrets. 2. Where does your YouTube channel name come from? My name does have a little bit of significance. You see, I was a Transformers fan, particularly the Michael Bay movies when they first came out. That's where the Transformers fan part came from. The co, as in company, I have no idea. It's just something that stuck with me. I suppose I added it because Transformers fan was a bit of a repetitive and overused name on YouTube. And you know how most websites typically don't let you use names that have been used over and over and over again, for distinct visual variety. Although it ironically gives my username the initials of a third-party Transformers toy company, even though I have absolutely no connection to them. Because otherwise I'd have a giant-ass Devastator in my house. The numbers actually have a little more significance, though. As I said in my favorite games video, I used to go by Transformers fan code 217. Long story, and no one asked that question, so I won't answer it for now. And the 217 part actually came as a reference to the first live-action Transformers movie, where Sam Witwicky's eBay username was ladiesman217. The 328 part actually comes from when I had to close down 217 for reasons that, again, I don't want to elaborate on at the moment and no one asked. And the 328 part comes from adding 111 to 217. And I've been Transformers fan code 328 ever since then. I don't know if 439 will ever catch on as well. And 3, what's your favorite console? I honestly have no idea. Probably PlayStation 2, because I loved a lot of the games that I played on that. I remember getting the original Kingdom Hearts along with a Yu-Gi-Oh game. I remember the licensed Ninja Turtles game, I remember the Tak series, the Jak series, the Sly series. Although I admit I also remember never getting past Jak 2, at least that tank sequence, and by the time I finally did get past that tank sequence, my PS2 died. Soul King R asks, if you could live in any game world you want, which would it be? Honestly, I have no idea. Most game worlds have their positives and negatives. Either they're like isolated and have nothing special about them, or they're fantastical but they have their fair share of monsters, demons, and whatever you'd probably have to deal with on a daily basis. I honestly can't answer this question, at least not to the fullest extent. Although I probably could have given a little more thought, but what are you gonna do? Angry Walrus asks 3 questions. Do you collect Amiibo? No, nor do I plan to. I mean, I've seen a lot of Mewtwo Amiibos very recently, and I'd love to pick one up, but I only have so much money that I get around the holidays, my birthday and Christmas and such, and I'd rather not spend the money on frivolous things, stuff that doesn't matter in the long run. Like, say, if I bought that Mewtwo Amiibo, but if I did that, I wouldn't get Fire Emblem Fates, which a lot of you really want to hear my thoughts on. I mean, it'd be nice, but all I'd be getting is a display piece. And while I do buy a lot of toys, I have no room for more display options, nor do I have any real use for the Amiibo itself. I don't have a Wii U, and I don't have that reader thing for the 3DS. Although I do know a friend who has a few Amiibo. I've seen them in person, and they look really good. 2. Who do you think has the most underrated video game hat? I have no understanding of what this question is supposed to be asking. Even though it seems obvious, I don't understand what underrated video game hat really implies. Unless this is a joke or something and the joke is flying right over my head. I don't know. And 3. Are you college? As in, are you in college, I presume? No. And I probably won't. You see, I actually tried out this trial college thing, this website that gave you like a 6-week education similar to an online college, and I admit, At first I was doing pretty well, but without a proper push and a proper motivator, I kinda got lost on certain things, and the only way I was able to get through that course was they let me see the answers for most of the stuff. I mean, I caught on enough that I was able to answer the final exam with mostly flying colors, but for the most part I'm probably just not cut out for college. Better to find out there than to find out the hard way and be stuck in a lot of financial debt. Not everyone's cut out for college, you know? Sonic Nicholas 1995 asks, if you were to get a capture card, what would it be? I don't know what specific one I'd be aiming for, but I suppose Elgato looks pretty good. I'll have to see what options are available to me if I have the money to get it. But at the moment, I'm doing fine with my countdown videos and my reviews, just downloading long plays and let's play clips on YouTube. So it's certainly not an expense that I absolutely have to get immediately. I mean, it's one thing that I can illustrate my points a little better with gameplay of my own accord. But it's another thing to get those experiences and try them out for myself, and then try to explain them through the clips that I can download, you know? Gabby on the Goggle Chew asks 3 questions. First, what's your favorite Pokemon? Dude, that's spoilers for my next countdown! 2, what anime are you watching right now? None at the moment, honestly. I suppose you could argue Ruby because that's still ongoing, but no episodes are being uploaded until around January. So, yeah, still nothing at the moment. I do have plans to check out Gurren Lagann at some point, but I still don't have the motivation to check it out ASAP, but I'm not really pushed to watch it at the moment, so... And 3, who is your favorite BlazBlue character? Isn't it obvious? Well, taking Terami out of it, I suppose my favorite character would be Bang Chichigami. I just like how likable he is, how humorous he can be at times. There's just a lot to love about this character. Plus he has some kick-ass theme songs. The only problem I have with him is his new voice from Chrono Phantasma. Because to me, it sounds like he's been smoking for years. Because he's like this deep, like he's trying to be deep and gravelly, kind of like Christian Bale's Batman. I mean, I suppose Lichie's portrayal would hurt him that badly, but I just can't take that voice seriously anymore. I mean, Bang was kind of a silly character to begin with, but he had his serious moments. 16-bit Delicious Pasta asks, are you a kid or a squid? Whichever option doesn't put Inklings in the mental ward. And 2, is mayonnaise an instrument? No, Patrick, mayonnaise is not an instrument. Horseradish is not an instrument either. Joshua Colbyhouse, hey, haven't seen you in forever, asks, what are your thoughts on Splatoon and Super Mario Maker? I played Splatoon at a kiosk at my local Target, and it's fun, I do enjoy it, and from what I've seen of it, it looks really good. Same with Mario Maker. I haven't really played that one, but from what I've seen, it's really entertaining to watch people play through it. I admit I don't have the most creative mind when it comes to making levels, so if I were to get Mario Maker, I'd probably get it just to play other people's levels. Persian Slasher asks, have you ever played Transformers Devastation? God, I wish! A Platinum Games Transformers game is fucking awesome! And from what I've seen of it, which, for the record, is TJ Omega's stream of the game, so yeah, I've spoiled all of it for me. But then again, I did that with Revengeance. It's fucking awesome! And it even looks like it fixed a lot of the issues I had with the Korra game. You know, longer running time, awesome music. I mean, I suppose that's the virtue of being a $50 retail game as opposed to a $15 download title, but, you know, just, I really want to play it, but $50! 2. Do you have a game that you hate but a lot of people love? Burial at Sea is honestly the closest thing I can think of. There aren't a lot of games that I really hate but a lot of people love. I mean, you could argue Secret Rings because a lot of people really liked that game at launch, but opinions on that title have soured significantly since then. There are still people that do like that game, but yeah, it has not aged well for a lot of people. It's honestly a lot easier for me to like things that people hate than it is for me to hate things that people like. And 3, what are your top 3 anime? Much like video games, I can't really put the anime I've watched on like a countdown pedestal because, you know, I like these things for different reasons, you know? And I've already mentioned the anime that I've watched. So there's that. More Than Meets the Eye Whirl asks, who's the third man? A Norse and Wells movie? I honestly have no idea what you're referring to here. This is probably a reference that's flying way over my head here. 2. What is your favorite I thought I wouldn't like it but I do show? No clue, because I go into most shows, most things, with the expectation that they're good. I mean, unless I'm explicitly told that the product I'm going into is bad, like say Sonic 06. Yes, I know easy target, but nah. I typically tend to go into products with the general idea that they're good, or at the very least have some good elements to it. And I do find myself really liking the products for the most part, and if I go into a product knowing that I'm probably not going to like it, chances are I'm not going to like it. And 3, when's Annie? Then's Annie. Thank you everyone who funded Indivisible. And while this isn't a question that was actually on the Q&A, I figured I'd address it anyway since it was asked the day beforehand, and as I said, I don't really have a lot of questions, so... Gia Sampharos asks, have you heard of the Bionicle Netflix series, and if so, what are your thoughts? I have heard of it, and it certainly sounds interesting that this new Bionicle series is finally getting some form of cartoon adaptation, even if so far the story doesn't seem like that much to it. One could argue there really wasn't that much to the original run when it first debuted as well. I mean, there was, like they were world building and such, and there's some Anui online game, but for the most part I do find myself interested in what this Netflix series is going to offer. I'm definitely going to check it out when it does come out, but for right now I'm going in cautiously optimistic. I hope these were the answers you were looking for, or the answers you weren't expecting but found satisfying answers regardless. And I wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I'm Transformers Fanco 328, and see you next year, where by then I'll have seen The Force Awakens. So don't spoil it!